I was born with a built-in lie detector, and those who lie will pay the corresponding price. My parents said they didn't favor boys over girls, that sons and daughters were the same to them. As a result, they became genderless and could no longer have children. My grandmother had no choice but to adopt a boy, to ensure he grew up strong and healthy. She deceived me and pricked needles into my head. The needles ended up pricking her precious grandson all over. When I grew up, my boyfriend proposed to me. He swore to love me for a lifetime, or else be struck by lightning, and then he really did get struck by lightning and died. My abilities were discovered by a wealthy heiress, who asked me to test her boyfriend's loyalty. She offered $3 million. Soon, I became popular among the wealthy circle, with many seeking my services, staring at the long string of digits in my bank account. I wished for the first time so desperately that there could be more lies in this world. Right after high school graduation, just as I received my college admission letter, my boyfriend got down on one knee and proposed to me. Everyone around us started cheering. Say yes, say yes, say yes. Looking at the cheap plastic ring in his hand, I asked flatly, "Do you really love me?" My boyfriend eagerly nodded. "Yes, I love you." He raised 3 fingers. "I swear, I will love you for a lifetime, or may lightning strike me." I believed him wholeheartedly and smiled sweetly. Yet the very next second, the sound of deception echoed in my ears. The familiar noise made my smile freeze stiffly. Then, dark clouds gathered, lightning flashed, and thunder roared. My boyfriend looked up in confusion, while people around exclaimed, "It's going to rain." Next, I watched helplessly as lightning struck my boyfriend. He remained frozen in his previous posture, his entire body charred black, his dilated pupils lifeless. The plastic ring in his hand was charred black and rolled straight out of his palm, just like his cheap sincerity, shattered into pieces. "Ah, someone's dead." Disappointment flashed through my eyes as I turned and walked away, ignoring the screams and shouts behind me. I lay in my rented room for 2 days. Just as I was about to go to the kitchen to cook a pack of instant noodles, someone knocked on my door. When I opened the door, I was surprised to see Wen-Chui, the famous wealthy heiress from school. Wen-Chui gave her 2 bodyguards a look, and they barged in without hesitation. I was forced onto the sofa, staring at her eye to eye. "Your boyfriend is dead, right?" My expression shifted slightly. How incredibly rude to ask someone if their loved one had died so casually. Wen-Chui lifted her chin, and the bodyguard brought out 2 suitcases. When opened, they were filled with cash. "Ning-Qingyu, I know your ability to detect whether someone is lying. Help me test my boyfriend, and all this money will be yours." I was tempted but hesitated, warning her, this could end up killing someone. Wen-Chui raised her voice. "Do you think I care? I'm so perfect. How could he not love me?" The lie detector beeped again, and I sighed inwardly. Wen-Chui clearly cared deeply. The next second, the light bulb above fell down. The bodyguard swiftly shielded her head. Wen-Chui screamed and hastily stood up, looking at me helplessly. "See, you lied. You care deeply about your boyfriend." I was born with a built-in lie detector. Whenever someone lies to me, a warning tone rings in my ears, and then, "They'll pay the price, big or small." Upon hearing this, Wen-Chui's eyes brightened even more. "Then help me out. Should I call him over? Here's his contact information." Chapter 2. I added Chu Xinyan's contact details first, but it didn't go through. He rejected me. Wen-Chui was somewhat pleased. "See, he's very mindful of boundaries." I stared at the stack of bills in the box, my eyes filled with longing. I cleared my throat. "How about you bring him over tomorrow? I'll test him face to face. Just ask a few questions." Wen-Chui was thrilled. "Great." I saw them off, carefully closed the door of the rental house, and then threw myself at the pile of cash. I counted it bill by bill. Perhaps I'd never seen so much money in my life. My fingers cramped from counting. 3 million in total. I counted it 3 times over. Wen-Chui is really loaded. I don't have to work part-time to pay for my tuition during my 4 years of college. But before I could be happy for more than a few seconds, my parents called. "Jody, do you have any money? We want to give gifts to the matchmaker to help your brother find a wife." I replied flatly, "No money." "That's perfect. I found you a good husband. Girls don't need to read so many books. It's useless. You need to think about your younger brother. He's simple-minded. What will he do if he can't find a wife later?" I couldn't help but laugh out loud. She hung up the phone directly. Then came the barrage of messages and calls. Everyone's calling me an ungrateful wretch with no conscience. When I was little, I had just figured out my built-in lie detector, so I eagerly went to test whether my parents loved me. "Mom and Dad, after you have a little brother, will you still want me?" Mom gently stroked my face. "How could we ever not want you? You're our little snuggle bug. Boys and girls are just the same. That night, they became genderless. When they got the test results at the hospital, they cried their hearts out. My son, we're going to lose our son. From this moment, I realized they didn't love me. They're all liars. No wonder they named me Zhouty. Seeing them cry so ugly, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. When Dad heard, he grabbed a bamboo stick to beat me. I shouted loudly, "You're asexual. Not even male. How can you still be my father?" Because of my outburst, the whole village learned about this matter. My parents were utterly humiliated and threatened to drink pesticide to end their lives that very day. In desperation, Grandma brought home a boy, instantly soothing their emotions. My parents doted on him all day long, making me call him little brother. Later, Grandma somehow heard of a folk remedy to ward off misfortune. It could ensure her precious grandson would grow up strong and healthy. Grandma took out 3 silver needles and came to me. "Zhouty, if we just stick these 3 needles into your head, you'll become smarter." My expression was cold and stern, the incessant beeping in my ears buzzing so loudly it nearly deafened me. Fine, I want to become smarter. Perfect timing. I wanted to test whether someone who lied to me could actually harm me. At worst, I could always just run away anytime. However, before the needle could touch my head, my younger brother started crying. Grandma hurriedly tried to comfort him, but he was still crying by evening. Mom and Dad grew increasingly worried and took him to the hospital. It turned out there were 3 silver needles lodged in his head. Ever since then, I'd become foolish. The whole family was on the verge of tears. Utterly devastated, the experiment succeeded. Those who lied to me can no longer hurt me. I gathered up all the money and hid it under my bed, planning to deposit it in the bank tomorrow. When Chui acted quickly and sent me the address the next day, the person who came wasn't just Chu Xinyan. There was also Wen Chui's best friend, Song Xiaoxiao. When Chui proactively explained, "This is my good friend. She's very curious about you." I knew. It was probably because she was worried Wen Chui might be scammed out of money by me. No one would particularly believe that I have supernatural abilities. Chapter 3. I cleared my throat and said, "Then let's begin." Chu Xinyan straightened his posture, his right hand interlaced with Wen Chui's fingers. "Do you want to marry Wen Chui?" Chu Xinyan nodded. "Of course, I only want to marry Chui." The prompt tone didn't sound. Wen Chui looked at me excitedly. I wagged my index finger at her. "No lie. Do you love her?" Chu Xinyan answered firmly. "Yes, I do. We grew up together, and we're destined to be a perfect match." The prompt tone still didn't sound. When Chui's grin nearly reached the back of her head, Chu Xinyan truly loved her. She suddenly stood up. "All right, the test is done. Ning Qingyu, thank you so much. I didn't expect this money to be so hard to earn." Song Xiaoxiao beside her sneered. "Oh Chui, this person is just a scammer. Trying to cheat you out of your money. Don't end up losing everything. How could that be? I've already had people observe Qingyu. That day her boyfriend lied and was struck dead by lightning on the spot. It turned out Wen Chui was also there that day." Song Xiaoxiao shrugged helplessly. "All right, I'm going to get my nails done. Had I known it'd be this boring, I wouldn't have come." I suddenly said, "You're lying. You're not getting your nails done today." Song Xiaoxiao reacted strongly. "What nonsense are you talking about?" The next second, the coffee cup in front of them exploded, splattering everywhere. Chu Xinyan let go of Wen Chui's hand and instinctively shielded Song Xiaoxiao. The atmosphere became awkward. It was entirely Chu Xinyan's instinctive reaction. I immediately realized, work's coming. "May I ask why you're standing up for Song Xiaoxiao?" Chu Xinyan's tone was somewhat flustered as he instinctively glanced at Wen Chui. "Because she's Chui's friend." How could I just stand by and watch her get hurt? The lie detector's alert tone sounded. "Wrong reason." I got excited. "Then what's your relationship with Song Xiaoxiao?" Chu Xinyan's voice faltered. "She's my girlfriend's best friend." This time, there was no sound. "I'm asking about your relationship with Song Xiaoxiao. Don't bring Miss Wen into it." Chu Xinyan mumbled vaguely. "Barely friends." The prompt tone sounded again. "You're lying." Chu Xinyan's expression turned panicked. "What nonsense are you talking about?" He suddenly looked at Wen Chui, and seeing the doubt in her eyes, he grew even more flustered. "Chui, she's just a fraudster. Don't believe her. Song Xiaoxiao and I are barely even friends." Song Xiaoxiao quickly responded, "Yes, she must be lying." Wen Chui stared at him and demanded, "What were you doing that Saturday night? Why did you have a woman's perfume scent on you?" So Wen Chui's suspicions were not unfounded. I asked again. Sweat dripped from Chu Xinyan's forehead. He said stiffly, "I was studying. Chui knows that." Lying again, I turned to Song Xiaoxiao and asked with a smile, "What about you? What were you doing?" Song Xiaoxiao nervously clutched her sleeves. She didn't believe for a second that I could tell who was lying. Summoning her courage, she said, "I was getting my nails done. I change my manicure every Saturday. It's a habit I've always had." It was true that Song Xiaoxiao had a weekly nail-changing routine. But that night, she'd done more than just her nails. I turned to Wen-Chui and said, "They're all lying. It's impossible. I have classmates who can vouch for me." Soon, his classmate arrived. I asked him seriously, "Did you personally see Chu Xinyan studying that night and not doing anything else?" His classmate nodded firmly. "Yes, Brother Chu was studying," I said helplessly. "Miss Wen, I suggest you investigate properly." "Everyone is lying," Song Xiaoxiao shouted. "Will you ever stop?" "How could I possibly have an affair with Chu Xinyan? You're just a liar," I said calmly. "Then dare you swear that your relationship with Chu Xinyan is completely innocent?" Chapter 4. Song Xiaoxiao didn't dare. Although she didn't know how I saw through her lie, she still felt uneasy deep down. I turned to Chu Xinyan again. "Swear it." "Of course I can swear, but this ends here. I don't have time to keep dealing with a liar like you, Chi. I'm so disappointed in you. I love you so much and even played along with your games, yet you doubted me." When Chui thought about my boyfriend's outcome and felt a bit nervous. "Maybe we should just forget it. I'll investigate the rest myself." The atmosphere grew tense. Although things ended here, the money wouldn't be refunded, but what I despise most are people who betray sincerity. I stared straight at Song Xiaoxiao and smiled. "Miss Song, I don't recall ever saying you were involved with Chu Xinyan. Why are you both in such a hurry?" When Chui's expression changed slightly as she abruptly looked at Chu Xinyan and Song Xiaoxiao, Chu Xinyan appeared extremely agitated, roughly running his fingers through his hair. "Wen-Chui, when will you two stop? You're just suspicious that I'm cheating, aren't you?" "Fine, I admit it, I cheated. Are you satisfied now?" "Wen-Chui, your constant suspicion will only wear away my love for you." Not a single lie detection alert sounded for any of these statements. This was problematic. It meant everything he said was true. A pang of guilt rose unbidden in Wen-Chui's heart. Could she really have been too suspicious? Chu Xinyan said to Song Xiaoxiao again, "You swear it. If the oath doesn't hold, I'll compensate you with a car. Let's just play along with Wen-Chui." Song Xiaoxiao's heart instantly relaxed. She raised 3 fingers. "I swear. If I ever have an affair with Chu Xinyan and steal my best friend's man, may I be hit by a car and die?" Chu Xinyan curled his lips into a smile. "That should do." I nodded. "That's enough." Chu Xinyan held Wen-Chui's hand. "Chi, believe me, I really didn't cheat. The only one I love is you. Let's forget it this time. I really can't take jokes like this." Wen-Chui's expression softened, and she nodded hesitantly. "Goodbye. You can go back now. I still want to eat the snacks on the table." I lowered my head and ate the cake earnestly. A single piece of cake costs over 1,000. I've never tasted anything like this in my life. Song Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes. "Cheap trash." When Chui frowned, "Xiaoxiao, don't be rude." Song Xiaoxiao snorted coldly. I was almost finished eating a piece of cake when I heard the loud screech of car brakes. I picked up my coffee and stood by the window to look down. I saw Song Xiaoxiao being flung into the air, unconscious, her brains spilling out. Then, without stopping, the car crashed straight into Chu Xinyan and his classmate. Screams erupted everywhere. Chu Xinyan was slammed against a tree, clutching his leg frantically. "Ah, my leg is broken." Because everyone lied, the consequences befell each person, some lighter, some heavier. Panicked and fearful, when Chui looked up, locking eyes with me. I raised my glass to her in acknowledgement. "Your money wasn't wasted." Chapter 5. When Chui followed me back to the rental apartment, crying incessantly the whole way, I took out the tissue I bought for 9 cents and wiped her tears. After all, she's my sugar daddy. Song Xiaoxiao died on the spot. Chu Xinyan broke his leg. His classmate only suffered minor scrapes. It was a false alarm. Tell me, after all I've done for Chu Xinyan, even pulling strings for his family, how could he betray me like this? Song Xiaoxiao comes from a poor family. I was the one who funded her tuition. Why would they betray me? When Chui burst into loud sobs, I was getting a bit impatient, but considering they were the benefactor, I patiently said, "That's actually a good thing. Some people don't even realize their partner is lying." I finally managed to calm Chui down. Then her bodyguard brought over several surveillance tapes. Upon seeing the contents, Chui burst into tears again. It turns out that every time Song Xiaoxiao went to get her nails done, she was fooling around with Chu Xinyan in bed. I found it strange how they had so much free time, while I couldn't even finish all my exam papers. Soon, the neighbor came over to warn them, "Stop making all that noise. If you want to cry, go outside." I quickly covered Chui's mouth, afraid she might start arguing with someone. Chui choked back tears. "Did I do something wrong?" I couldn't stand seeing someone reflect like this, so I abruptly said, "At first, you said you didn't care." Chui froze, then said stiffly, "I should at least be sad for a few days." I sighed helplessly. "Go away, I need to rest." As the school term approached, my parents came looking for me with my younger brother in tow. They barged into my apartment, their eyes filled with disdain. "Why did you rent such a small place? There's not even enough room for all of us." I keenly picked up on the underlying message in their words. It's really small, but we don't have money, maybe you should go live somewhere else, Mom said matter-of-factly. Then you give us the money, we don't have any anyway. Ever since they found out they had become asexual, they refused to work, just scraping by on their small piece of land every day. Poor grandma, at her age, still has to take odd jobs to support them. I can attend school because of my solid capabilities. Without needing to pay tuition, I'm not. Dad sighed deeply. If I'd known earlier, I wouldn't have let you go to school. You could have married sooner, and by now you'd already have children. What a waste of money. My younger brother wandered around the room curiously, picked up my admission letter, and threw it at Dad. Dad carefully caught it and saw the name of the university. Oh, Peking University. A prestigious school. You must have gotten quite a reward for getting admitted, right? I replied coldly, no reward, yet the next second, Dad casually tore up the admission letter. Just stay home, no need for school, it's a waste of money, we've already found you a good husband. I stared at them. Do you dare swear that it's truly a good family? Mom raised her voice. Jody, do we parents owe you something, making us swear? Aren't we all doing this for your own good? My expression didn't change. My composure was as steady as an old dog's. For my own good. You'd deny me schooling, for my own good. You'd adopt a brother for me, for my own good. You'd just tear up my admission letter. Upon hearing this, Dad instantly flew into a rage and slapped me hard across the face. With a cold expression, I pushed aside my hair, grabbed Dad's head, picked up the hammer from the coffee table, and swung it fiercely at him. Blood instantly gushed from his head. You beast, still got the energy to curse. I punched again. Dad cried out in pain. Murder, murder. With their lazy, do-nothing physique, they couldn't stop me at all. I kept pounding and pounding, and soon Dad's bald head was a bloody mess. Mom wailed hysterically, you beast, how dare you hit your own father? I even found time to sneer. Is he even a man? He's not worthy of being called my dad. Chapter 6. My parents were nearly driven to their graves with rage, since they became asexual. All gender characteristics disappeared entirely, literally asexual beings. Dad, afraid I might hit him again, completely shut his mouth. Mom forced a smile. See, you've hit him already. Can you come back with us to get married? Would we ever harm you? Lying again. Then swear to me. Swear you'll treat me well. Swear that husband's family is a good family, and I'll go back with you. Mom's breathing became rapid. She was furious, but for the sake of that 300,000 yuan bride price, she gritted her teeth and said, I swear we'll treat you well. That husband's family is a good family, otherwise may we be struck dead by a plane when we step outside. All right, being struck dead by a plane, that probability is really quite small. Looks like you're quite good at picking vows. Then let's go. Mom and Dad grabbed me by the arms and couldn't wait to take me out. But just as we reached downstairs, before Mom and Dad could even smile, his head was smashed open with a hole. I stared at the ground as the sun cast their shadows. Blood sprayed skyward. Some even splattered onto my face. Their hands gripping my arms loosened slightly, and Mom and Dad fell straight backward. My younger brother witnessed everything and let out frightened sobs. Then, when Chuy's scream came from beside us, dead, they're dead, I stared expressionlessly at their corpses, my parents' eyes nearly bulging out of their sockets. Hovering ominously above their heads was a toy airplane model, tiny, yet fatal when plummeting from great heights. When Chuy hurriedly ran up to me and asked, what's going on? Lying to me brings its own consequences. I looked up toward the rooftop and saw several parents dragging their children downstairs in haste, choking back sobs as they apologized to me. Sorry, so sorry, we'll provide all the compensation we should. The children are still young. Could you please consider? I glanced at the 3 kids and said to them, don't play on the rooftop next time. It wouldn't be good if you accidentally killed someone. Luckily, it was my parents who got killed. I signed a letter of understanding for them, but their conscience wouldn't let them rest, so they insisted on pooling together 800,000 yuan for me, when Chuy was completely dumbfounded by my actions. Those are your biological parents, I replied calmly. They want to sell me off for bride price. When Chuy fell silent instantly, after a while, she asked again, what's bride price? Oh, what a sheltered young lady who knows nothing of the world's hardships. I arranged for vehicles to take them all back to their hometown. Grandma wailed bitterly when she saw their bodies. I left all 800,000 to her. After all, she still has to care for her mentally disabled grandson. After this, this family has nothing to do with me. After all the fuss, when Chuy finally told me the purpose of her visit, my aunt wants your help, I frowned, testing another man again. When Chuy shook her head, no, my aunt couldn't care less about a man's sincerity. She's kept countless male companions. Name your price. When Chuy held up a number, 10 million, I was instantly tempted. I got into Chuy's car and arrived at her aunt's villa. At this moment, she was exercising with the man. Wen Chui gave an awkward smile. That's just how my aunt is. Wen Chui and I waited for a while before my aunt finished. She waved at the man, who obediently put on his clothes and left immediately. My aunt has a smoking hot figure. She casually throws on her coat and looks at me. Quite handsome, just a bit rough around the edges. I'm nervous. I'm straight. Chapter 7. My aunt bursts out laughing. She waves at Wen Chui, who immediately walks out. I heard you can tell when someone is lying. I nodded. Yes, from now on, you'll stay by my side, and I'll give you 10 million every month. I was utterly shocked inside, but remained calm on the surface. What exactly needs to be done? Discuss work with me. Understood. After that, I went out early and returned late with my aunt every day, discussing collaborations. Many people got to know me. They thought I got the job through connections. Well-informed people even tried to poach me with lucrative offers. Being able to spot lies gives you a natural advantage in business. My wealth kept growing as I shuttled between school and the company every day, occasionally taking small orders. When Chui set up a studio for me to make things easier, she took the initiative to cover the costs. The purpose was to keep me stable and working for her aunt. Of course, among small orders, the most common ones are emotional issues, actually. I don't understand why they are so fixated on relationships. No one will love another person forever. That day, the campus belle of Peking University came to me. She looked distressed as she handed me 100,000 yuan. She said, "This is the most I can give you. Could you please help me? What can I do for you?" The campus belle could barely bring herself to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. "Could you ask my stepfather if he cares about me at all?" I paused for a moment before replying. "Bring him here, and I'll ask." A few days later, the campus belle really brought her stepfather over. The two maintained a distant posture, and the way the campus belle looked at him was full of conflict, as if she was trapped in sorrow, unable to move on. Maintaining my professional demeanor, I didn't let any personal emotions show on my face. I asked very bluntly, "Do you love her?" The stepfather replied, "No." He wasn't lying. The campus belle panicked, tears welling up in her eyes. "All right, mission accomplished," my stepfather said to me. "After her mother passed away, I've been raising her out of a sense of responsibility. She's just dependent on me. Once she's an adult, I won't take care of her anymore." The campus belle stood up excitedly. "Chu Junshan, I don't believe you don't love me." I clutched my head in frustration, but the next second, the door to my studio was pushed open. I actually saw Chu Xinyan wearing a prosthetic limb. "Uncle, why are you here?" When he saw me, his eyes were filled with hatred. My stepfather sighed and said, "Playing with the kids." The campus belle was still crying, her whole body trembling. Chu Xinyan was nervous. "You didn't swear an oath, did you?" The stepfather looked puzzled. "No." "Why are you here?" Chu Xinyan sighed in relief, then gritted his teeth at me. "I have something to discuss with Miss Ning." The stepfather didn't take it seriously. "It seems Miss Ning is quite popular, then." He left with the school beauty. Chu Xinyan plopped down right in front of me. "Liar, you ruined my life and killed Song Xiaoxiu," I said calmly. "You're the one who lied." Chu Xinyan pointed at me. "I'm not done with you." That very day, my shop was trashed. Scandals about me also exploded online. 2 elderly women and a 40-year-old man cried to the media, accusing me of marriage fraud and swindling their family out of a 300,000 yuan dowry. Then many others emerged, some of whom were my former clients, claiming I was committing fraud by exploiting my ability to detect lies for financial gain. Many uninformed people surely didn't believe me and assumed I was engaged in fraud. The police took me away. I calmly said to the police officer, "I didn't deceive anyone, nor did I commit marriage fraud." Chapter 8. You still claim you didn't deceive anyone. How are you different from pyramid schemes? The difference is huge. I can detect lies. Those who refuse to believe will never believe me, no matter what. I contacted Wen Chui, and soon she sent someone to get me out. But without clarification, my reputation remained tarnished. Walking around campus, I still faced insults. I couldn't care less and secretly gathered evidence with Wen Chui. It was all orchestrated by Chu Xinyan. The people who accused me of marriage fraud were indeed the family my parents arranged for me to marry into. My parents took the betrothal gifts for themselves. I contacted them to inquire about the situation. It would be best if they could clarify and explain the reason to me. This way, I won't waste my efforts. The only person who came was Zhang Dayang. Zhang Dayang saw me and immediately lunged forward, reaching out to touch my face. He bared his yellowed teeth. So tender. I've never slept with a female college student in my life. I dodged his hand and glared at him coldly. "How much did Chu Xinyan pay you?" "Not much. Just 500,000. "Great, you've earned 500,000 by smearing my name. Now you can help clear my name. I never took your betrothal gifts, let alone committed marriage fraud." Zhang Dayang's expression darkened. "You're playing me. You're coming home with me right now to have children. Women are born to be slept with by me. Don't bring those bad habits you learned outside back home." I smiled helplessly. I hadn't wanted to deal with them in the first place. Jean Daong, do you believe in karma? Jean Daong froze for a moment, then sneered. You're spouting nonsense again. I know you've made a lot of money through scams. From now on, that money has to be managed by me. A woman like you can't handle it. Jean Daong glanced around and noticed there weren't many people nearby. He grinned and said, Honey, let me have some fun first, then we'll go home. I obediently let Jean Daong push me to the ground. Staring at his ugly face, I asked him, Will you treat me well in the future? Jean Daong replied casually, Of course I will. Let me have some fun first. I've never slept with a college student before. The lie took effect. The prompt sound rang in my ears, and I tilted my head with a faint smile. Jean Daong on top of me let out a scream, frantically covering his lower body as he collapsed onto the ground. I sat up, crossing my legs to look at him. I saw blood continuously flowing from his lower body. Someone help. Jean Daong struggled to stand up, wanting to go to the hospital. Something distinctly male fell from his pant leg. How disgusting. I stood up from the ground, coldly watching my desperate younger brother Jean Daong. Jean Daong's eyes were bloodshot, his hands tightly clutching his precious lifeline. Ning Zhaodi, what have you done to me? What have you done? I replied cheerfully, I didn't commit fraud. It's true that I can see through people's lies. They will likewise receive the appropriate consequences based on the severity of their lies. This shows how enormous Jean Daong's lie was. I suspect he not only wouldn't treat me well but would also abuse me. Thus, his most prized possession was directly severed. Chapter 9. I picked up my bag and turned to leave. Since this path was blocked, I simply had Wen Chui release all the tricks Chu Xinyan had played. All those people were hired by him to smear me. Public opinion flipped instantly, but the label of fraud still couldn't be completely cleared from my name. Many people still don't believe I can see through lies. If such an ability existed, wouldn't the world be thrown into chaos? And chaos it would indeed bring. My studio has reopened, yet Chu Nyanian still refuses to let me be. He sent many people to cause trouble for me. I'll take it all, as long as it makes me money. Why not? Chu Xinyan sternly warned them, saying, You must not lie to me, and above all, you must not swear oaths. What a coincidence. Someone who didn't believe in superstitions pushed their luck, lying to me and even swearing an oath. The moment they stepped out the door, they were struck dead by the sun. He was literally roasted dry, instantly. A crowd gathered to watch. Chu Xinyan used this as an excuse to call the police and have me arrested, accusing me of murder. He even dug up the deaths of my ex-boyfriend and my parents. Chu Xinyan went berserk, hurling abuse at me in the police station. You have to believe me, Ning Qingyu is a jinx. She's killing people in her own way. She's a monster. She's murdering. Chu Xinyan's eyes were sunken and dark, his entire appearance disheveled and unkempt. Ever since his amputation, he hadn't slept well for many days. I sat silently on the chair without uttering a word. I would only speak if the police questioned me. After the deceased left her studio, he suddenly self-combusted. Did you do this, just to prove your supernatural ability? I shook my head. I didn't do it. He swore to me, saying he hadn't stolen his mother's pension, or else he'd be burned to death by the sun. The result was indeed death. He died by his own hand. Chu Xinyan felt a constant chill running down his spine. Enveloped by an unknown fear, I spoke softly. If you don't believe me, you can check my surveillance footage. There's video recording of my entire work process, every minute and second, without any falsification. I looked up at Chu Xinyan and said, Don't provoke me again. I have no time to waste on you. My goal is simply to make money, nothing more. Chu Xinyan was trembling all over, unsure whether it was from anger or fear. Ning Qingyu, did you cast a curse on me? Ever since Chu Xinyan met me, his luck has taken a turn for the worse. First, he lost his legs, then his parents' trust, completely cutting him off from the center of power. The Chu family didn't lack him as a son. I'm not that sinister, only sincere people thrive. When Chui arrived late with her aunt, Qingyu, are you okay? Chu Xinyan saw Wen Chui, tears welling up in his eyes. Wen Chui, why are you still associating with this evil spirit? She will harm you sooner or later. This world cannot exist without lies, and you can't go your whole life without telling one. Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid of retribution? When Chui's breath hitched, Chu Xinyan, it seems you still don't understand what's right and what's wrong. You betrayed me. You deserve to die. Understand? Chu Xinyan's heart ached unbearably. Chui, I was just trying something new. I never intended to leave you. I wanted to marry you. When Chui smiled coldly. You only want to marry me because you covet the power and wealth of the Wen family. I spoke quietly. Miss Wen, as long as you don't lie to me, you won't have to pay the price, so you don't need to listen to his deceitful words. Besides, little lies don't matter. At worst, you'll just have a bit of bad luck. Shouldn't the world also allow for well-intentioned lies? Chapter 10. Once again bailed out of the police station, my aunt said to me, Tomorrow, I need you to negotiate with me. After being messed with by Chu Xinyan several times like this, my studio had to temporarily shut down, and I simply couldn't find the time. Auntie is the real big client. I nodded. Auntie burst into laughter and immediately gifted me a designer handbag, worth over $1 million. I accepted it. Her aunt's tone was icy. I won't let Chu Xinyan off easy. I can't lose you. I knew she couldn't bear to lose my abilities. I didn't care who made me valuable. But I was still curious about what she would do to Chu Xinyan. I asked her, how won't you let him off easy? He doesn't even dare lie now. The Chu family is about to decline, and by next year, I'll be able to take them over. I didn't expect that this negotiation would be with my aunt's husband, Mr. Gu. Pleased to meet you. I'm Ning Qingyu, Assistant General Manager Wen's assistant. I extended my hand to Mr. Gu. Mr. Gu looked somewhat nervous when he saw me. It wasn't that he hadn't heard the rumors about me. Wealthy people tend to be superstitious, and with me being so ominous, he was even more afraid. When I spoke to him, he didn't even bother to respond. Auntie rolled her eyes and kicked Mr. Gu. Didn't you say earlier that you weren't satisfied with the divorce agreement? Why aren't you speaking up now? Mr. Gu wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. You shameless woman. You have no right to speak to me. Get Ning Qingyu out of here right now. Auntie sneered disdainfully. Let me ask you this. We agreed back then to each do our own thing, but no children were allowed. It was you who broke our agreement. Over these years, I've invested a lot of resources in you. You've really gotten your money's worth. Hearing another juicy piece of gossip, my expression remained perfectly calm. Auntie glanced at me, and I quickly said, President Gu, where have you hidden your son now? President Gu began breathing heavily. You're committing murder. All of you are murderers. Mr. Gu didn't dare to answer directly at all. I sighed helplessly and continued, Mr. Gu, don't make me angry. I have plenty of ways to make you talk. If 1 day isn't enough, then 2. If 2 days aren't enough, then 3. I don't believe he can keep his cool. Yet President Gu couldn't even last 2 hours, because Auntie threatened him using his own mother. Everyone has their weak spot. There's always a way in. Mr. Gu lowered his head in despair. My son is in Washington, America. Aunt's expression changed abruptly. Someone, go and bring him back. What are you going to do? Aunt curled her lips into a smile. Of course, it's to reunite you father and son. Boss Gu was terrified. He immediately knelt before Auntie, tears streaming down his face. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I'm willing to leave with nothing. Please spare me. Leaving with nothing is too easy, Auntie said softly. I won't let you off, but this is a society governed by law. I have plenty of ways. I looked at my aunt, forming a plan in my heart. President Gu was forced to lie and swear an oath. That night, he was struck by a crystal chandelier and only survived by undergoing a high-level amputation. Auntie, will you do the same to that child, to my surprise? She didn't go for the kill, she said. The child is innocent, but without money, he is nothing and will only be poor for the rest of his life. Yet, I accidentally overheard my aunt say, why doesn't he trust me? Am I really that cruel? Would I harm a 7 or 8-year-old child? Aunt and Mr. Gu did share love once, but that's all in the past now. The next day, I received 10 million. Staring at the numbers in my bank account, my heart raced uncontrollably. I pray once more, hoping there could be even more lies in this world. I don't want sincerity, I just want money. Long live money.